I don't
It was.
think Santos is going to take the title from Rey Mysterio. I think it's going to be Jimmy Uso.
I don't think so.
I don't know. I don't know what they plan on doing with the Usos now that they're like broken up and single stars. One's on Raw, one's on SmackDown.
Honestly, I
Yeah.
used to not really like the idea because like when the turn first happened, obviously everyone was shitting on it, and obviously like I agree the match was not good between Roman and Jay, and it fell flat in a lot of ways.
Oh
Roman
yeah,
Reigns was hurt, so that's part of it, but still like and then when like after the match happened and they were all saying, "Oh yeah, they're gonna postpone the Jimmy and Jay match until WrestleMania," I'm like, "What? That sounds awful." But the more I think about it, it actually makes sense because if they started the feud right away, you know that Jay Uso's going over Jimmy, and Jimmy would just like his singles run would just die instantly. But now you're giving him more time to breathe and actually solidify himself as a single star before the match with Jay. And WrestleMania, I get it's a big stage to actually to have that feud. So I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm definitely okay with them waiting until then to have their first match, but like they have to do it right. They have to play it the right way.
Yeah.
Because like if they just kind of like keep them single stars and then all of a sudden like a month before Mania, it's like, oh yeah, by the way, we hate each other.
Yeah,
It's gonna
that's the
suck.
thing because now that they're both on different shows, how are they going to build to a match? I mean, they always do every now and then. They do big Raw versus SmackDown. Remember, like when Kurt Angle and Shawn Michaels feuded, they were on different shows back in
Like
'05.
I think one way to like keep it up at the very least and keep it in people's minds that oh yeah, Jimmy and Jay hate each other. Not that people are gonna forget, but like just to keep it going is having them do like a Team Jimmy versus Team Jay at Survivor Series.
That's been
Mhm.
a
Like
big thing I've been seeing is that seems like what's going to be the Survivor Series 5v5 men's match is Jay versus Jimmy.
yeah, because like it would make sense. Because you don't have to do Jimmy and Jay like actually wrestling that much, so you'll still keep their side of things fresh for a Mania match between the two of them. But like you also keep the feud going
Yeah.
instead of it just being stagnant until like January or February when they like meet each other in the Rumble or whatever.
Yeah,
Right.
because I figured that's
Uh,
when the feud will like realistically. I think that's when they're going to start the feud in the
Like
Rumble.
really reignite it. Yeah.
Yeah. I did see an interesting like video today talking about like because with the whole like someone's getting traded over to SmackDown now because Jay's on Raw. So because like everybody believes it's going to be Cody Rhodes because it makes the most sense.
Well,
It's the easiest. It
It's
makes
gotta
the
be
easiest.
Cody.
Yeah, I saw one thing being because of the fact that Sammy immediately came out to greet like the welcome Jay to Raw, is that there's a potential for Kevin to get set to SmackDown, which and it
Mm,
not to and if not for an obvious for a feud with Roman, which thank God because I do not need to see a third Royal Rumble match between those two.
it would actually be a fourth.
That's also
They had
true.
3 already.
Oh God, yeah, it would be the fourth. I forgot they did it when Kevin was Universal
Yeah.
Champion.
They gotta
Yep.
keep the tradition alive.
Uh, but it being that it would start a feud between Kevin and Sammy going into Mania, with Kevin constantly feeling like Sammy always like semi abandons him for Jay.
Because
I mean-
that's another feud we need to see again too, right?
I mean, the thing is though, if they wanted to do that feud, it wouldn't make sense then to separate them on brands as well.
No, I
So
yeah, I agree
think
with
that
that.
would be I think that would be a stupid way to do it, especially since in terms of like they set up this trade, you think it would have been like set up before that happened on Raw. So like Kevin wouldn't have even known that that happened at that point
Right.
to agree to I'll just be traded over to SmackDown. So like that wouldn't really make sense.
It's going to be Cody because that
It's
way you can have
absolutely
someone
gonna be
else win the
Cody.
Rumble, like a Gunther, whoever. We could talk about that at a different point, but whoever wins the Rumble is probably challenging for the World Heavyweight title, not the whatever
Oh,
the fuck
yeah.
it's called now. Undisputed
the
Universal.
World Universal Heavyweight
Yeah, the
WWE,
WWE. Yeah, the WWE. Yeah.
Championship.
Yeah. Yeah. It's. I'm hoping it's Cody. It makes the most sense, and in this situation, the answer that makes the most sense is the right answer. Cody is the right answer to send over to SmackDown.
Yeah,
Because
because if you send anyone else over, it's obvious who's winning the fucking Rumble at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You send Cody over. There you go. You got the story. You can finish the story at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Well, you can
yeah.
try to finish the story at WrestleMania.
Yeah, you can have him in the Rumble still kind of teasing the idea that, oh, he'll go win it back-to-back years. Ultimately having like Roman or Solo costing him the Royal Rumble match.
You know who I think is gonna win the? Well, no, we'll talk about that later. I want to because
Yeah.
we didn't really finish talking about the Usos yet. I
No.
think that their match at WrestleMania. Do you think it's going to be for a title, or do you think it's just going to be a regular match? Like, do you think one of them's going to end up like being on the other brand, or there's just going to be like randomly put together match?
I think it's going to be a kind of put together match. I don't think it'll end up being for a title at all.
I don't think either of them are going to win singles titles to be able to put a title on the line in the match. So
yeah, at the very least, yeah. If one of them does eventually win a singles title, it's not going to be before Mania.
And if it is before Mania, the other one's gonna cost them the title at like the pay-per-view before to set up their match.
Because I think
Right.
I could see Jimmy being U.S. champion just because, like, I know you guys think it's going to be Santos that's going to take it from Ray, but I think it would be good for Jimmy to have a singles title and actually like build him up as a single star because like all the momentum right now is on Jay. Like nobody really cares about Jimmy splitting off, especially since he's probably going to rejoin the Bloodline anyway. But
that's what it seems like.
I think Jimmy, I don't think that Jay is like inherently more talented or more charismatic than Jimmy is. I just think that Jay, he was in the right place at the right time when the whole Bloodline thing started because Jimmy was hurt. And then they built up Jey Uso as the first challenger, and it kind of told a story. It solidified Roman's heel turn. And then, you know, Jimmy was still injured for months after that, so he was main event Jey Uso. That's how that started. I think it was just, you know, the opportunity was right. But I think both of them, if given the same opportunity, can both shine as single stars. And they probably will stay single stars until they get near retirement, and then they'll reunite as the Usos eventually. But it's interesting to see this because the Usos were one of the many teams, like one of the few teams that I thought they were never going to split up. And they were never going to be single stars. They were never going to feud with each other. Like, I think of them in the same category as, like, the Young Bucks or FTR, you know? So it's exciting that it's gone to this, and I'm sure they're both excited that they, you know, their career is kind of
yeah, I also
evolving.
feel like with the whole one of them winning a title before Mania, I don't feel like that feud needs a championship involved in the match.
Yeah.
Where if those two are fighting for a title, I don't like you could take the title out of it and it doesn't make the story any better or any worse.
Well, I'm thinking more
I think adding a title to the match honestly makes the story worse because then it becomes about the championship rather than this feud between two brothers.
Right, you're doing damage if you add a title because either A, it ruins the story because it's like you said, it's about the title, or it damages the title because they're not fighting
because they don't care about it. Yeah, they don't care about winning the title. It just happens to be on one of them.
Right.
Well, I was thinking more of like not necessarily that the title would elevate the feud, but that the feud would elevate the title, and I'm specifying the U.S. title because the U.S. title hasn't felt relevant at all in many years. So that's why I think it would be potentially a good thing. I don't know how the logistics would work, like I said, because Jimmy's on SmackDown, Jay's on Raw, but I think that wouldn't be terrible. Not as terrible as you guys make it sound.
I mean, I don't think it would be like terrible. I just think that the match doesn't need a title.
Yeah, like that's the thing. I don't think having the title there is going to ultimately I don't think it's going to help the US. I don't think it'll damage the US title by any means because
it's already as low as it's going to be.
It's kind of hard to damage that. But yeah, it's just it's one of those things. I think the feud will just be better without a title on the line. And I do hope because it's going to be like a drag out. It's going to be like a no DQ, a no holds barred, or a street fight type of match and stuff.
I would assume so.
Yeah.
For a feud like that, like you need some sort of stipulation on it. But I thought the same thing before about other feuds recently that they didn't put stipulations on. So
true. But to be fair, will Jimmy go as far as channel his inner Matt Hardy and kill Jay's dog?
Hopefully.
He might burn his house down too.
Exactly. I want to know. Because that's
Set
the
off his
standard.
pyro so it launches in his face.
Exactly. That's the standard Jimmy had. Was the match at Mania 25 between Matt and Jeff good by any standard? Not the best, not that great, no. But the storyline going into it that Matt was a psychopath the entire time was amazing. So Jimmy needs to channel that amount of psychopath